The top 25 iRacing 305 drivers are back in action tonight to battle at the short track at Lanier Speedway. Can anyone stop Clayton Tilley with 4 consecutive wins on the season? Tyler Street is coming off his best finish of the season after finishing second at Knoxville. Where does he stand tonight? Today on the pre-race show, we welcome Gavin Chatham, Ben Ward, and Larry Bell. How has these guys fared this season, and where are they going forward this season? Could we see a new face enter victory lane tonight? We will find out all of your answers today, right here on the pre-race show. Good evening and welcome to the pre-race show. I'm Brian Griffith. I've got Byron Gay, Chris Miller, back for another week of racing, week number 6, and we are heading to Lanier Speedway. Guys, how you guys doing on Millertime Sunday?
I actually unmuted this time, so I can actually talk. So, but yeah, it's great to be back. Great racing last week. Some good battles there, and excited to see what Lanier will bring tonight.
Chris?
Yeah, absolutely excited to be here at Lanier. We're past the halfway point in the season. Got some interesting news coming in the next couple of weeks for a couple drivers, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah, definitely glad to be back here on another Sunday night.
Yeah, so we talk about what we just seen at Knoxville last week. Let's rehash that, and then we'll talk about Lanier Speedway and what we're potentially going to see tonight. But we seen Clayton Tilley once again get in victory lane, and he matches the record for most consecutive wins in Millertime Motorsports 305 series, and that is 4, and he ties me, and so he's going after number 5 tonight. What did you guys think of Tilley at Knoxville last week?
Well, I think, you know, if he didn't make any mistakes, or if he did, there was very little. I think he did everything right there, especially in the feature. He had cars battling behind him, so he didn't really have to worry too much behind him. It was just all straightforward driving for him.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I guess surprised and not surprised. You know, he's dominated the first, or at least the last 3 races before last week. Comes into last week going for that 4th straight. It was Knoxville. I thought it could be anybody's, but, you know, he held everybody off. And but one thing about Tilley, before we get too far, is he is in the middle of moving. And he may be absent over the next 2 or 3 weeks, a race or two. So, guys, do not give up in those point standings. Remember, we do not have any drop weeks. So that's interesting news coming from Tilly's side. I'll bet you, though, tonight he'll try everything he can to be there to go for 5 straight and beat your record there, Ryan.
Very, very possible. Another guy I want to talk about last week was Tyler Street. He comes off his best finish of the season, finishing second. I think that may have been a shock to maybe some. It was definitely a shock to me. Did not see him coming up and finishing second, and he does. It did come way of some incident there on the final turn, final lap with Jason Randolph and Troy Flero, and he just barely beats Randolph to the line and gets that second position. But what do you guys think of Tyler Street and his first number 2 spot? I mean, that was a great race for him.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head when you said he definitely kind of can give it to his thanks to, Troy and Jason there for getting together there on the bottom, some hard racing. But, I mean, this has been a long time coming for him. He's always been able to move through the field better than some of the other guys in the league and has just been pushing himself to perform and be better than what he has been the last week. And the previous week before that, he's only getting better and better every week. And I wouldn't be surprised, like, if we do see if Tilly's not there, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Tyler Street in victory lane because he just keeps getting better every week. I would say we're going to see him in the top 5 position again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think Tyler's been a bit unlucky throughout the first few weeks of the season. I kind of look at his season this season as Surratt in season 4 and Zach Dykstra in season 5. It just took him a few races to get going. Here, Tyler throws in a second place finish. I think the sky's the limit, and I think he could definitely compete, and we could see him in victory lane here soon.
Yeah, and that would be a pretty cool to see someone that is new, entered into the season, get themselves into victory lane. We come at way of Lanier Speedway this week, a very short track racing. We seen last night the All-Star Series was here. Really pretty decent race, not a whole lot of cautions. There was only, I think, 12 cars in the field. But what we did see, we seen a lot of battle, side-by-side racing up front. Byron, you was there as well. You got to race. What did you see, and what do you think that you can take away from the All-Star race that we may see in the Outlaw Series tonight?
Yeah, definitely. The racing was really good. I actually had Mr. Theriot message me afterwards complimenting the hard, clean racing that we had going on. If I remember right, I think I started 3rd in that race. Had some big battles there. Leader got away, and hard battling between myself and Josh there. Fortunately, contact ended it, but I mean, slide jobs were really good there. Very tight lines. That bottom was very good in the beginning of the feature, but I mean, we also had a reset track there. We didn't get a fully carried over. Because in the heat races, it was looking like the bottom was going to be gone, tops was going to be more dominant, but the bottom didn't really play a factor as much as we thought it would. Now, again, you said it, we had less car count. Yeah. We're also carrying overall tonight. I think we might see the bottom come back in, but we're also going to see a lot of hard racing and a lot of slide jobs. I would say a lot of moves going into 3 and 4. You might see some guys running top side in one corner, bottom in the other. So it's going to be definitely a lot of searching, find that fast line real quick.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to elaborate too much on that. I mean, I think Byron hit it on the head. I mean, I was in the race also last night, but one thing is with the car count. I mean, the track's going to be totally different. The bottom's definitely going to come in at some point. I mean, we didn't even hardly run what we'll get to as far as through the heat races last night as far as car count and the track conditions. So, track's going to be totally different for the future than what we ever seen last night. The start won't even be where we were at last night at the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming into Lanier Speedway, we do look at the point standings here. Of course, Clayton Tilley's still on top of the leaderboard, rightfully so. Getting qualifying fast time there, winning the races. He's been absolutely lights out for anybody trying to go up against Clayton Tilley. So he's number 1 with 984 points. Currently in second, you got Jason Randolph. He is 73 points out from Clayton Tilley. Randy Strees back there in that third position. They all three stay where they were at last week. So no changes there. Just the point spread has opened up just a little bit more after Clayton Tilley's win. And then you have Zach Dykstra moving up 2 spots. He's into that 4th position. Brandon Voyles drops 1 spot. And then Tyler Street, after his 2nd place finish, he is one of the top movers of last week. And he moves up 3 spots on the season points. You got Sean Stevens there. We still have not seen anything from Sean Stevens in that 26 machine, still starting to drop in the points, and now he is 2 positions down, now in that 7th position. Ben Wart moves up 2 positions. He's in the 8th position. 9th is Kyle Vaughn. He does slip back 2 spots after last week. That 10th spot, PJ Popham, he's moved up 2 spots. That is your top 10, and then a very noteworthy, Warren Samoy moves up 3 spots and matches Tyler Street on the movement of points from last week. Looking at these points, Chris and Byron, still really, really close points battle from 4th all the way through 11th and 12th position within 30, 40 points of each other. This thing could really shake up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it there, and like you said, it's a very close battle. Anything could really happen. I mean, you take somebody like Ben Wirt, he finishes up top tonight. He could be jumping somebody, like Sean Stevens if Sean has another dreadful night like he has all season. Same goes for anybody below Sean Stevens. These points are becoming harder to find once we're getting towards the end of this season. And I think we're halfway through now almost.
Yeah.
So these points are becoming more and more important to get, especially in qualifying, because obviously these guys who qualify higher are getting those points leads, and they're getting them big.
Yeah. Chris, what do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest surprise right now is probably Ben Wirt sitting up there in 8th. I mean, he's just quietly doing that. I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot on the track. I expect to see good things from him tonight here at Lanier. I think he was the winner back in season 4. So, and I don't even think he showed up for season 5. So I believe, he's going to be a tough guy to beat tonight. But sitting right there in 8th. But you look at just back to 14th. Where Brandon Surt's at to 8th, where Ben Wirt is. And you're looking at a difference between basically first place qualifying to 10th or 11th place qualifying can catch you right back up. So that's what the difference in qualifying this season versus last. It means a lot. And these guys could just in one good night of qualifying could be right back up top there.
Absolutely, and for sure, we'll definitely dive into that when we talk to these other 3 drivers today. We got Gavin Chatham, we have Ben Wart, and Larry Bell to talk to later on in the program. We do go on and talk about power rankings and where those sit after week number 5. Clayton Tilley, of course, still on top of the power rankings, but you do see a little bit of movement here. You see Troy Flero moves up 1 position over Jason Randolph after it looked like Troy was a lot faster than Jason Randolph. They make contact, they make up after the race, but that's how the power rankings are shaping out, as we've seen Troy Flero consistently being stronger and stronger each week. He's in that 2nd position, Jason Randolph in the 3rd position, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th, they all make movements up. Zach Dykstra in the number 4 spot, Randy Streves in the 5 spot, and there you are, Tyler Street coming back inside the power rankings in that 6th position, and currently is his highest position in the power rankings right now in that 6th position. 7th was Brandon Voyles. He drops down a few spots. Ross Kaiser, after a pretty good race there at Knoxville, it was an up and down night for him. I believe he comes home 4th on that night, and he comes away in 8th place in the power rankings. 9th is Jeff Flero, drops down, and Steven Vogelsong is the final driver inside the top 10. I got to ask, guys, we've seen weeks where we've seen some new drivers come into the power rankings for the first time. Is there anybody that you can think of tonight that could break inside that top 10 in power rankings this week?
One driver comes to mind is definitely Ben Wirt. I mean, Chris brought the stat. He won in season 4, missed the race in season 5. He always shows strong here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him, cracking into the top 10 of the power rankings after this week.
Yeah, I mean, I would go with Gavin Chatham. I mean, he was the winner here last season. Just after joining from the All Star Series, that's when we brought the All Star drivers up in the middle of the season, and he got his first victory. I know he's been in the power rankings this season. I think maybe one week he popped in the top 10 there, but I think he could find himself back up in there after this week.
All right. Well, let's talk to some of these drivers that we have scheduled for the pre-race show. And let's start with Gavin Chatham. I do want to talk to him because we said that Gavin Chatham was the winner in season 5. So let's talk to Gavin. Gavin, do you have a copy?
I'm here, guys. How's it going?
Good, Gavin. Hey, I got a lot of stats I want to cover over with you. But first, I want to talk about season 5 when you won your first race. And it came that way of Lanier Speedway, where we come tonight. Can you remember that race, and how memorable was that for you, getting your first 305 victory?
You always remember the first one. It always sticks with you pretty well, and I remember it pretty well. We started 13th that night, I think, and we worked our way through the field, just running the bottom. I think it was Vogelson. I think we passed him with about 5 laps to go. Kind of worked the middle a little bit, and kind of drove away from there. And it's always good to get the first one, and it's definitely like a monkey off your back. So the pressure's off, and makes things a little bit more comfortable to try to get your second one for sure.
Yeah, so coming in tonight, you have to feel somewhat of confidence. This season, it's been kind of an up and down season for you. When we look at your average finish, you're around 13th position in your average finish. I want to take it week by week and get those finishes out there. In week number 1, you started 14th and you finished 9th. So you did pass some cars. Week number 2, you started 11th, had some trouble, finished 21st. That was your worst finish on the season. Week number 3, you started 12th, you finished 15th. Week 4, you started 21st position deep in the pack and came up to the 11th position. And then once again, we see Gavin Chatham doing it again in week number 5, starting deep in the field, 21st position, and bringing it home in 9th position. And when we talk about those finishes, we can obviously see that you're having to pass a lot of traffic. So what is that like, having to pass all this traffic out there as you've done it the last 2 weeks?
It's difficult, and it's definitely you have to be very patient out there for sure. There's a lot of great drivers out there, and not a lot of real estate to make some moves. But when you can, you got to pounce on the opportunity to pass these cars. It's definitely makes it harder. I'm not making it easy on myself. We got to qualify better, and we got to do better in the heat races to help not have to pass as many cars. It'd be nice to have an easy night, and not have to pass as many cars. But we have good speed, and I feel confident in the way we're running. We've had some bad luck strike us this year. Sophomore slump, we'll call it. But yeah, it was just, in my opinion, I think it was some guys that were being a little aggressive. We were in the top 7, I think, running at Cedar Lake, and kind of I felt someone was a little aggressive on the restart there, and we had talked about it, and I gave my opinion on it, and we talked it out, so it's all good there. And but we were running in the top 10 there, and we're running top 10 in USA as well, and kind of the same thing happened to us. So we got the speed. We got top 10 runs going for us. We just had some bad luck. So we got so the momentum rolling at Lima Land for sure. And then last week, another good finish for us. So if we just keep building on it, and obviously Lanier tonight with winning last season, it's definitely been a big circle in my calendar for sure to hopefully get a top 5 run for us tonight.
Yeah, and you mention it. You say that you need to improve in qualifying, as I did look over that, and you qualified really well in week number 2, but that was your only week that you did really well in qualifying. Your average qualifying position is 25th. So what have you been doing to try to improve that qualifying, which then sets up your night a little bit better?
Well, first off, I got to start picking different when I start doing my pill draws, because I think I've been drawing in the 20s, but that's not a huge excuse, because I know Clayton's obviously the best driver in this league, and he went out almost dead last week and put it on the pole. So if he can do it, we can do it too. But so maybe a better pill draw, but a driver needs to stop making mistakes during qualifying. It's and that's me. I've messed up some qualifying laps and put us in positions where we have to dig ourselves out through the night, but we'll keep trucking, and we never give up. So, and I think our finishes are showing for that, starting in the back and moving forward. So we'll keep rolling with it. Just got to be more smooth in qualifying.
So before I move on with Byron asking a question, I got one more for you. And you talk about qualifying, you've got to hit your marks and be smooth. How much pressure is it versus a normal league race where you don't have to worry about all the eyes are on you, versus in this league, it's one car at a time out there and we are calling your number, we're calling out your sponsors and talking about you. How much pressure is that in qualifying to hit those marks?
There's always some pressure. I mean, you do have, everybody watching you, making sure you are seeing what kind of laps you run. The fans that watch, the sponsors that watch, you always want to try to go out there and prove and have a good lap. And of course, you got the pro drivers. I'm sure they're watching us too and seeing what we're doing. So you know what, there is a lot of pressure added to it, but you just got to focus in and just hit your marks, and you'll be good. You kind of got to block it all out.
Fantastic. Byron, what do you got for him?
Well, Gavin, how much practice have you put in this week? We'll just start out with that.
So for Lanier on our setup for Millertime, I've actually turned 0 laps this week. But I mean, it's important to hit your mark or do the practice with this setup. But I do run a lot of officials, and I know it's a different setup and everything. But run a lot of officials this week. It's still keeping that trying to keep your skills sharp and that momentum rolling. I know it's different, but it's still in the same. It's just building that consistency. If you build consistency, I feel, in kind of whatever you're running, it'll help regardless of what the setup is and where the track is at.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight you did unfortunately draw that 21 pill. So, you keep saying you got to improve in qualifying. If tonight's the night that you can prove it, how do you think you're going to do it?
Lay down a fast lap. It'll definitely be tough. It'll be interesting. It's always interesting because it depends on where guys run and how they run, and where the line slicks off and how fast it slicks off. So obviously every week the track's different, and maybe going out a little later might be beneficial. We can get a decent lap in. I'd hope to get a top 10 run for sure in qualifying. Anything outside of top 12, I think would be disappointing. I feel even going that late, I think I could stick it in the top 10 for sure.
But truth has to come out here. Are you watching the broadcast when you're sitting down there waiting to qualify? I know I did it when I ran. I'd be watching qualifying, see where everybody's running, watching where my time is, if I qualified early or where I need to be when I qualify late. So what do you do in that situation?
Oh, absolutely. I watch it for sure. Anything that's beneficial that can help you. And it comes from the highest form of racing in real life. You watch those World Outlaw Sprint guys; they're sitting there with their iPhones watching Dirt Vision or Flow Racing or whatever it might be, watching where the line is, and they got guys and crews telling them where the line is or where this guy ran, that guy ran, and it's beneficial for the broadcast because you use it to your advantage, and I definitely watch the line and see where it's going, and then it's also beneficial to having teammates as well, where if they go out early or later or whatever, we can relay information, or maybe they might see something that we don't, and kind of coordinate with that and go from there.
All right, that's all I got, Chris.
Yeah, Gavin, last season you were actually one of the safest drivers we had when it come to incidents per lap. I think if you would have met the 75% requirement of laps that we had for that, you would have actually been first or second. But you come into this season right now, we haven't been broadcasting our incidents per lap, but you sit 13th. But, still overall your team has 3 in the top 8. So you're actually on your team, you're actually the worst one per incidents. But I want to talk about the last 2 weeks in particular. Ryan mentioned you started 21st. You ended up finishing 11th and 9th. But you've done that with just 4 incident points over the last 2 weeks. You actually had 0 2 weeks ago. Forget where we were at that week, but then you had 4 at Knoxville last week. So talk about how do you improve 22 spots and only get 4 incident points?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's being patient, and I think too I kind of took a step back. I don't want to say reinvented the way I drive, because I've still been driving the same way. But just trying to build some momentum up, and once you build that momentum up, it should keep rolling. We the first couple weeks there kind of had some bad luck on our side, and it just kind of, when you're trending downwards, it seems like when it rains it pours, you keep trending downwards. So definitely took my time, especially at Lima Land, to just work my way methodically up through the field and get a solid run. Felt like we could have pushed it a little bit more, but I was like, we just need a solid run here and stay out of trouble and walk away with a good finish here, which we did. 11th is pretty decent, especially for Lima Land coming in the back.
Yeah.
And then last week at Knoxville, kind of the same thing, is kind of minding my P's and Q's there. And I think we got caught up in something that really wasn't our doing, and then started in the back again and just kind of methodically worked my way up there. I remember coming on pretty late in the race there and was able to get a top 10. So just maybe I'm good at starting in the back. That's what I need to do, is just start in the back and work my way up, and somehow I just avoid everybody.
Well, speaking of starting in the back, so you have that 21st pill draw. So you got something, I guess, with 21st. So if you start 21st in tonight's feature, I mean, do you have what it takes to repeat as winner like you did last year?
It'll be tough. It's going to be tough to beat Tilly. Obviously, he's obviously the favorite every week. But I think regardless of where we start in the field tonight, I think that we can, as long as we avoid any trouble, because I'm sure there's going to be trouble tonight, being a smaller track at Linear, and there was trouble last year when we were racing here. But if we can avoid all that, I think we have one of the better cars for tonight. We can easily be in the top 10, if not a top 5 for sure.
All right. Well, I'm good. So I wish you the best of luck tonight, and hopefully you can repeat as the Lanier winner. And good luck to your team, too.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate having me, and good luck to everybody tonight, and we'll try to get it done.
It's crazy to me that all of these drivers has figured out that Clayton Tilley is the man to beat, and yet here I am. I still haven't figured it out. So we'll see if we can figure it out tonight. Good luck tonight, Gavin, at the track that you won last season. Go after it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, let's talk to old Ben Wart and see if we can get Ben Wart in here. And Ben, do you have a copy, sir?
I do. How are you guys doing today?
Good. We come into Linear Speedway. You seen Chris was talking about season 4 when you won here. We're still looking for the Ben Wart that has got several victories in the 305. You have not picked your first 305 victory up this season. What's this season been like for you so far?
Definitely a bit up and down. I mean, it's been tough with as many good drivers we had this season to really, get much better than what I have been, because every little bit matters this season. But I think qualifying, I've done all right. That's what's carried me so far in the points, but definitely wish the feature results were a little bit better.
Yeah, so I want to dive into those feature results with you. As you're right, qualifying has been your strength, and we've seen that over the past seasons. Your average strength or average position in qualifying is 7th, but when we look at the feature, you're 13th in finish. So we look at these weeks, and starting in week number 1, you started 13th, you finished 18th, you went backwards. Week 2, you started 10th, finished 19th, you went backwards. Week number 3 being your best one, you started 4th, you finished 6th, you did go backwards, but it was your best finish of the season. Week 4, you started 17th, finished 12th, you went backwards. Week number 5, you started 6th, and you went backwards. So what is it going to take for that 14 machine to start going forward versus going backwards in all these feature races?
Yeah, well, that first week was definitely rough. I mean, that was also before I was, with the team that I'm on now, and ever since I joined that team, I feel like I've definitely gotten better in terms of speed. Just a couple of those races kind of got caught up in some mess, whether it be my fault or just unavoidable things that happen. But yeah, some of those bad results, like last week, I think going backwards there at Knoxville, just not a great track for me. A lot of these tracks haven't been on my best tracks, but I'm hoping to turn that around here in the second half of the season with some of these tracks coming up that are a little bit better for me.
It sounds like to me you cannot wait for Williams Grove to come back around then.
About that, I'm definitely anticipating that one.
All right, that's all I got. Byron, what do you got for him?
Well, Ben, I mean, it's been rough. You've been seeing some success in some other series, though. But like last night, you ran second in the midgets. What's it going to take to translate that second from the midgets to a good position finishing here tonight?
Honestly, I can take away from that midget race, how the track kind of developed. Like I, learned that the bottom was kind of there almost the whole time. But I think tonight, since the 305s are a little bit faster than the midgets, I think the top will come in throughout like the heat races and maybe even the start of the feature. But I think that bottom will definitely be there towards the end. And yeah, that midget race definitely helped me kind of figure out that bottom.
Yeah. And you do mention, you're part of this new team. I kind of want to start some drama within that. Who's your favorite teammate so far?
Oh, I can't pick favorites.
Oh,
They're all equally great in their own respective way.
oh, he's got to play the nice guy. That's kind of all I got. Chris, what do you got?
He's not like you, Byron.
So Ben, if you're watching the pre-race show, we just had Gavin on. I was talking a little bit about incident points. So currently, you sit second best in incident points at a .0952, which is way lower than what our best was last season. So Tilly being obviously the top guy right now at .0397. He's been out front most of the time, hasn't collected any points. But as Ryan mentioned, you have an average start of 10th, an average finish of 13th. Do you think you have to be more aggressive to get back into this points race and get a victory?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I definitely wish incident points would carry over to, feature results, but yeah, I guess I actually didn't realize that I was that well in terms of incident points. So yeah, I guess I do have to be a little more aggressive. I think that's my weak spot is, sometimes a little too nice and, not forcing the issue or whatever. So yeah, I should definitely be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, just as far as just the feature races, and we are actually taking our incident points off of everything except for the warm-up session. But just looking at the feature races right now, you got 14 incident points in the first 5 races, so just barely over 2.5 incident points basically per race. So definitely could probably warrant a little bit more aggression there. But hey, I mean, your team, 3 drivers sit in the top 8 in incident points per lap, and Gavin sits 13th. And he was one of the safest drivers last season. So, and Jeff Flero was actually one of the worst last season. So I was wondering, how much do you guys think that the team practicing has improved your guys' incidents per lap? I mean, Kyle was actually one of the better ones last season. I think you were kind of middle of the pack. Gavin was one of the better ones, and Jeff was one of the worst. But Jeff is actually one of the best ones right now, too. I think maybe up in 5th place, I believe. So, yeah, 5th place.
It's definitely helped us out a lot. I think, practicing with each other, it's kind of taught all of us how to, learn how to race, side by side with each other and, give each other room, but also be aggressive at the same time. And even with the speed, like I said, I mean, we have guys that are, some that are good in qualifying and not so good in the feature, and some that are good in the feature and not so good in qualifying. Some that can run the bottom, not well on the top. Some that can run the top, not well on the bottom. So I think, having all 4 of us kind of each one being good in one area has kind of helped us all grow in the areas that we need help on.
Yeah, well, that's all I've got. So good luck to you tonight, and go back there and repeat as the winner there at Season 4. Since you missed Season 5's race, you can technically still repeat. So go get it out there tonight.
All right, thank you. I'll give it my best shot.
Good luck, Ben. As he said, he was a winner in Season 4. We had Gavin in here as Season 5 winner. 2 winners that know how to get it done at Lanier Speedway. Ben Wart could get that done tonight. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, the last guy that we have to talk to on the show today is Larry Bell, and we'll see if Larry Bell's got a copy.
How you doing?
All right, Larry. Larry, we'll talk about how your season's been going so far and where you think your season's going to go, which on the first 2 races of the season, you struggled to make the A main. But since that, you've made every single A main feature, and your best finish being a 10th place finish. Yeah. And so what do you think it's going to take to get inside that top 10 tonight?
Man, I tell you, I do feel like Lanier's definitely one of my best. Well, I wouldn't say it's a best track, but I'd say it's definitely in my top 3. And I think qualifying good is definitely going to be a key factor for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, sorry, my videos just XSplit just started kicking on. It threw me off for a second. Yeah, so I think qualifying tonight is actually going to be a key factor of trying to get a good position. I tell you, all season long, really what it's been is I keep qualifying towards the tail and then having to work all the way up, and I keep finding myself getting up to 10th, 13th place, and something happens, and then I either get wrecked out or spun out or something, and go back to the back and kind of have to work my way forward. But yeah, if I can try and qualify, get at least start in the middle, and maybe work my way forward from there, maybe I can start trying to get a top 10 tonight.
Yeah, and that's always seems the case for qualifying. The better you qualify, it sets up the night for success for you. And when we do look at that for your qualifying, your best qualifying efforts came in week number 3, where you qualified 12th. And guess what? Week number 3 was your best finish, finishing 10th. So you're 100% right. Qualifying matters. And tonight, you have a decent pill draw, I do believe, right there inside the top 10. So, what do you think? Where do you think you're going to find yourself? Do you think you'll beat that 12th place qualifying that you did in week 3?
You know what? Last time we were here, I do remember, I'd have to go back and look, but I think I actually qualified pretty well last season when we were here. I think I was maybe top 10, if not maybe around the 15. But yeah, I kind of feel pretty confident tonight. So but we'll definitely see.
Byron, what do you got for Larry?
Well, I went ahead and I pulled the last 2 times that you've ran at this track. You did qualify 6 in that last race here. You started 18th, went to 9th. But in season 4, you actually started 9th and went to 19th. So the results are kind of mixed there. You do have that good qualifying pill. How important is that going to play, the whole night for you? Because I think it's going to set the tone for you tonight.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Byron. I think it's going to set the tone. I mean, I've got to make sure I'm on my game on that qualifying because, I mean, to me, it's going to be key because I can't be starting at the back of the heat unless someone else messes up. I mean, I'm very likely going to remain at the back just because there's only going to be one fast line in the beginning.
Yeah, and obviously we know you've been doing a lot of practice here with Troy. I mean, we're all on the same team. How much has that been helping you learning from Troy, trying to learn that bottom when it's there at the end of the race, and also the top?
But you know what? I've been working with Troy for, I don't know, probably 2 months now. Just every now and then we'll try and work on some of these tracks and bottom and top and kind of some lines. And, I tell you what, that helps out a lot. And then the practicing we've had in the last week or so has actually been very beneficial. And I definitely going to take everything I learned into racing in tonight.
Chris?
Well, Larry, I want to take a minute and pull you away from our team and ask you about your racing this season. But I want to congratulate you. You placed in the top 10 this week in the NARC money race that they had. You took home some money. So I want to take a minute for you to speak on the Kings of Millertime. Talk about your experience in the last 2 races of the Kings of Millertime. Let the drivers know that, haven't been with us, the newer drivers, what to expect in the Kings of Millertime, and let the fans know, the prize pool this season, we're planning on being well over $1,000. So just talk about the Kings of Millertime for a minute to what you've raced in it both seasons. So tell the drivers what they can expect.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think in the very beginning, I was one of the ones that even tried to help y'all put this together, and I really wanted to give something back to the community. Let's make something exciting, and what better way than for people to win money? I mean, everybody loves that, and I think it brings a whole nother level of racing to the community as well, the drivers. And it really makes people want to practice and work hard to get the top 10, if not win, and be the next king. I mean, I can't speak for Troy, but I don't think Troy was expecting to be the king last season, and that turned out. Oh, are y'all there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got you. Well, he's
Can you hear me?
having. Yep, we got you. Can you hear us? Nope. He dropped out. We'll get him back in here. But when he talks about didn't expect Troy Flero to be the winner of that, no one did. Literally no one. Not even Troy himself really expected it, because coming into that race, Troy Flero had never won a 305 Outlaw race, period. We go back to the very first Kings of Millertime. Everybody remembers that. King Brandon Voiles wins his very first 305 race he's ever won, comes at the biggest stage, the Kings of Millertime. It's anybody's race to be had, so when you sign up for the Kings of Millertime, you cannot think that there's no chance I'm going to win it, because we've seen our last two win their very first 305 official race. Oh, man, that's cool. I don't think we're going to get Larry back here.
He's down there.
Is he down there?
He's in the pre-race
Yeah.
show lobby. We can pull him up.
Let's see. Let's see if we got Larry back. Larry, you there?
Yes, not exactly sure what happened.
It's okay. We were elaborating on that 305 victory by King Troy Flero and then Brandon Voiles. So those both had been their very first win in Millertime Motorsports, and it came at the biggest stage. So what you're saying there, it's literally anybody's race to be had. I mean, we could be seeing King Larry Bell III. It is very, very possible.
Oh, exactly. Especially if you pick, I won't say what my favorite track is, but if you pick that, then hey, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
Wait, isn't your favorite track Weed Sport?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Chris, you got anything else for him?
No, good luck tonight, though, Larry. You got a great pill draw there, so go out there and get a good time, make the feature from the heat race, and let's make the dash. That has to be your goal tonight. Make the dash and win some cash.
Oh, I would love to even just be in the dash. I'd be tickled.
I want to ask one more question, the same question I asked Gavin Chatham about qualifying, because we just sat here and talked about qualifying. You have to do better in qualifying to set up your night. I got to ask is, how much pressure is this live qualifying where it's broadcasted? We're talking about your sponsors. We're talking about you and what your successes have been this season. How much more pressure is that versus just a closed qualifying?
Oh, heck no, it's a lot more pressure. I mean, you got all eyes on you between all the other drivers. I mean, just because you're out there, it's not just the broadcasters. I mean, you've even got other drivers watching because they want to know what lines you're running. I do the same thing. And so I want to see what other people are doing, see what kind of lines and times they're getting. So it's very important, and it definitely puts a lot of pressure on you as the driver on making sure you don't mess up, especially when you want to try and run close to the wall. You don't want to tag that wall, and your times aren't going to get counted. So it's real important.
Well, good luck tonight in the qualifying to set up a good night. I know you probably want to get in that fancy trailer behind you and get set for Lanier Speedway tonight. Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
I forgot we even had that trailer, honestly.
That trailer was like $100,000 at least.
Yeah. What happens when I don't travel with the team anymore?
Before I move on, we do need to bring up our sponsors for this year. Get Upside. You save 25 cents off per gallon, and you get an extra 15% or 15 cents back per gallon when you use that referral code Ryan25753. It is very worth it. Gas prices are at an all-time high. You need to be using this if you're inside the States. Get Upside. You need to get it. I know Chris Miller over here, he got it for the first time. What was it like using it for the first time? Pretty easy?
Oh, very easy. I don't get into a whole lot of rebate stuff like that because a lot of times it's difficult sometimes. It was pretty easy to pick where you were going to go get fuel at. Once you get there, you check in, you use your card, and hey, the cash comes back. My wife used it today over in Ottawa and got 62 cents off per gallon. So she's getting a nice $13 back after filling up her truck. So it's well worth it.
Oh, man. So get Upside. We're not just talking about it every show for just to talk about it. We use this app. Get it. Get Upside. you can get that extra 15 cents off per gallon right there. Ryan 25753. All right, before we move on to picks, do you have anything else to cover before we get over to picks? Chris?
Yes. So hopefully they're not in your guys' picks, but we've never I wanted to talk about it when we were talking about the power rankings, but we got a guy that sits in 8th place, and I just want to talk about it for a minute. So Ross Kaiser has been banned from iRacing for a month. Okay, we've been in touch with Ross. We believe that everything that he was banned for. We're not going into great discussion with that. If you want to talk to Ross, you can talk to Ross about it. But as a league, what he did, it has no direct effect on the league. So we are not going to penalize Ross in any means, but he is banned from iRacing for a month. So Ross will be missing the next few races. Which could also affect the team standings. We're going to have to see how that calculates. We're not supposed to have a one-man team, so Tilly, any race he's here, should not get any points for that. So that's going to change that. And as I mentioned, Tilly on the other side of that, with being partners with Ross, he is in the middle of moving, so there's potential he could miss a race or two here in the coming weeks. So that's some big news as far as the point standings and the team standings. But we wish Ross the best, and he'll be back. He'll be back at the end of the season and for the Kings of Millertime.
Wow, big news there coming out of iRacing. So if anything else, we're going to get over to, let's pick them. Let's bring it over. Who are you all picking by Luke's Bar and Grill? And Byron Gay is still on top of the leaderboard with 14 big ones, 14 points. Chris Miller there in second with 9 points, very close in striking distance. And I have 2 points. But I figured it out. I am the curse of this season. And because I know that, well, my pick should be very obvious this week. As we'll start with Chris, your number 3 pick for tonight.
All right. Well, my number 3 pick, we've already spoke with him tonight. He came from the 13th starting spot last season in just his 6th race with us in the Outlaws and was able to take the victory. I'm taking Gavin Chatham. I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive tonight, and I think, as I mentioned earlier, we may see him even pop into the top 10 in points and the power rankings next week.
Fantastic. Using a winner from last season to get inside the top 3. Very good pick by you, Chris. Byron, what do you got as your number 3 pick tonight?
Yeah, actually, another driver we talked to tonight, somebody I raced against last night, talking about how, finding out that bottom's still there when it doesn't look like it. I'm taking Ben Wirt. He won in Season 4. It's time for him to turn it around, and I think this is a good track for him to do so at.
And believe it or not, all of these picks had been picked prior to me announcing who was going to be on the show, so no correlation there. It just simply happened. Ben Wirt, very good pick there as your Season 4 winner. Guys, who I have as number 3. Like I said, it should be very obvious as I am the curse of Season 6.
It just depends where you have him. Is he at 3 or is he at 1? Because it feels like it doesn't matter where you put him, actually. You probably have him at all 3 spots just to triple curse him, right?
That could very well be. That would be cool if you got it right.
We'll just go ahead and just say it's Clayton Tilley, and I'm just going to keep saying Clayton Tilley every time you ask me, so
okay,
just make it easy.
Chris.
Well, I mean, Byron's wrong because you got to actually have him first. Okay, Ryan does not want him to win, so Ryan picked him to win. But here, I think I'm going to go with a guy that's struggled a little bit of late. Last week wasn't his doing. His VR died. But I'm going to pick Brandon Surratt. He placed 2nd last season. So we'll say that you're taking Brandon Surratt here in 3rd.
All right, so it's going to get real interesting when I start explaining some of these picks because it was mind-blowing whenever I put my picks in immediately after Sunday's race. I already had my picks in there. I was ready. I was locked and I'll explain more about this. It is crazy. Number 3 pick, I got Zach Dykstra in here. I think Zach Dykstra is a very good favorite here to be inside the top 3. Dykstra's been fast all season. He's had a second place finish. Sitting currently, what is a 4th in standings. He's right there. I think he could be inside that top 3. I'm hoping I don't put a curse on you, Zach Dykstra. I'm picking you tonight to be in the 3rd position. Chris, what do you got as number 2?
All right. Well, my number 2 pick, he's 7th in points with an average starting position of 12th, average finishing position of 12th. But I think he's going to be more aggressive. I think he's been really soft this season, coming off of a championship last season, and he hasn't been wanting to race these guys. I think he's been a little soft. He needs to push the issue, although his incident points per lap don't show that. He's like one of the only guys in the red, so don't tell him that. But I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. Now I'm going with Sean Stevens.
Sean Stevens saying the Aussie is soft. Ooh, that's some strong words. I wonder what Sean Stevens thinks of that, but man, you put him number 2. I don't know how good of a pick that was, as he hasn't proved anything this week. Maybe he's got something to prove since he's soft. Byron, number 2.
I think Chris just royally ticked somebody off.
Yeah,
And
I think so
Chris,
too.
I think Chris might be onto something with that pick. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. Let's rewind to Friday night. There's no racing action between any of the leagues that me and this driver run. So we actually had a night to sit down and we relaxed. We played some Call of Duty together. We had some fun. I helped take a weight off his shoulder. Today came on, played a little games beforehand. He went and practiced, took another weight off his shoulders. He's relaxed. He's ready for tonight. It's Troy Flero. He ran good here last season. Unfortunately, was giving an apartment tour to the people that were coming into his apartment next. They accidentally hit his table, and it dropped his monitor. He hit the inside wall. He would have won that race. There's no doubt in my mind that he would have won it. He was running the bottom better than anybody else. But I think there's still another driver out there better than him. I mean, it's obvious who I got. I'm riding that train, so I got Troy in the 2nd position.
Byron, I totally forgot about that moment when his monitor tipped over and he just mashed the inside wall. And I'm like, that was weird. And then you find out later on what happened. It's like, oh my gosh, devastating for him. Redemption tonight, maybe? Troy Flero in the number 2 spot. Very good pick. My number 2 spot. Who do I got?
Well, you brought Dykstra in the conversation. There's a lot of other drivers you can bring in. You can bring in Jeff. You can bring in Troy. You can even bring in Brandon Voiles. And that's who I'm actually going to take here. Is I think you got Brandon Voiles in that 2nd position.
Okay, Chris.
I think you're going to take Kyle Vaughn. He's had some good finishes here in the past.
Okay, so remember, guys, I had my picks in on Sunday night, and I said I am the cursed of Season 6. I think I am. I really, truly believe that I am the curse of Season 6. Why? Number 2 spot, I had Ross Kaiser. Ross Kaiser banned from iRacing, and I had him as the number 2 spot. Yes. Season 6.
Well, hopefully you change that.
I am the curse. I did change it. So now, sorry, there's another curse on somebody else. Number 2 spot is going to, I'm sorry, Troy Flero.
Oh, no.
I really believe Troy Flero could get it done, but I had to put him there because I think he has the potential. But I may have just cursed him. Sorry, Troy Flero. I put you number 2. Chris?
Well, I'll tell you what. It sounds like you guys are probably both going to have Tilly number 1. Okay? And I hope that Ryan, if you did have Tilly number 1, that you are the curse, because hopefully this is one of his 3 races he may miss while he's moving, so hopefully he misses tonight when both of you pick him number 1 and he doesn't win. Because in that situation, you guys were both wrong with Troy Flero, and if Tilly wasn't here, you guys would have had Troy number 1. So in my case, I'm saying Tilly's not here tonight. He's giving up the 5th win. He's going to let Ryan still hold that tie. Troy Flero is going to be the victor. He's been the pole sitter the last 2 seasons here, and you already mentioned what happened last season, Byron, but he's going to pull it off tonight.
I love the pick because I really wanted to put Troy number 1, but I knew how bad of a curse that I am. So I'm like, I can't do that. At least put him number 2. Maybe it'll change. So I love the pick. Troy Flero, great one. Byron?
I can already hear him from Canada just screaming down, I told them not to freaking pick me. Why did they all pick me? I can't believe this. He's probably chewing Larry's ear out right now. And now that I'm talking about it, he's laughing. He's like, oh my God, Byron's right. But yeah, I'm looking at the Millertime website because, us admins, we get this special power where we can see, the percentage of all the drivers. I've been watching it all day because I do have Tilly at that number 1 spot. This information is new to me that he is moving. But earlier today, it was at 25%. There's no numbers next to it now, which means 100% he's en route to the track. I am hoping he is there. I am hoping Clayton hears me. And I want to say this directly to you, Clayton. I said it last week. You are taking this victory, and you are going to beat Ryan's record because I want Ryan to eventually come back and take it back. I want you to win tonight. 100%.
Okay, so I got a message this week, and it was great. And it made me laugh, and I'm like, man, if we had somebody that could potentially take over the broadcast, someone told me, get back in here on week number 6 and try to beat Clayton Tilley and stop the record from being broke. Well, I can't do that, so unfortunately, I'm broadcasting tonight. I'm not in the field. Who do I have as number 1 here? Do I have Clayton Tilley? I have not been smart all week, or I should say all season, and not picking Clayton Tilley as my number 1. Do I have him as number 1 tonight?
I mean, yeah, you already said you wanted to curse him. Quit playing it up. Just flip it over, show us.
If you didn't, he's going to beat your record.
All right, number 1, 100%. We're going Clayton Tilley tonight. Clayton Tilley has the curse on him. Look out. You can see that car maybe flipping over the fence tonight. Whew. All right. Guys, it's time. It's time to get over to Lanier Speedway. And we're about to see Clayton Tilley try to go after race number 5. It's going to be hard when you have the curse of Ryan Griffith on your back tonight at Lanier Speedway. Week number 6 of Millertime Motorsports. Thanks for watching the pre-race show. We will see you in just a few minutes. To all the drivers and fans, thanks for watching the pre-race show. Right here, live on Dirt ITV, the home of Millertime Motorsports. Become a supporter of Dirt ITV is easy. Simply go to paypal.com, PayPal me/Dirt ITV. Any donation is greatly appreciated. And now it's time for